All right, David, we are live for another episode of Sap Chat, live from my kitchen table. My wife said she would not mind not seeing a Rode mic anymore in the on the kitchen dining room table, but yep, sorry, honey.
I kind of like it. It covers up half your face.
Right? That's I knew that was coming. It's like what's his name? The neighbor from shoot.
Wilson.
Nope. Wilson was the neighbor from Home Improvement. So everybody hearing us okay? I want to make sure I got my fancy dancy microphone here.
I'm gonna try to watch so I can see comments tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my list out so people know what we're kind of our agenda. Not that one. That's for like 3 episodes from now. I'm starting to plan ahead. So yeah, while we're waiting on some people, you don't have this problem yet, David, but I got 2 teenage boys, and something happened where I get up, I go to looking for socks, and something happened. Like my socks were never dirty. There was never any clean. I'm like, what the heck? Where did they go? And then finally, my son, I caught him. Like he's like, Dad, I've been doing this for 5 years. That tells you how much I've paid attention. I just, like wear the same socks for 3 days because I can't find any. And I finally told my wife, I'm like, just get me some socks. So she got me like 5 bags of new ones.
Right.
So now my son, at least I'll get to wear them once. Like it's kind of like, LeBron James and Michael Jordan. They wear a pair of tennis shoes once and then give them away,
Yeah, that must be nice, huh?
That's what I'm doing. I don't have a choice. I wear them once and my boys,
gone.
Who knows where they go. So yeah, here's what we got. So Sap Chat, we didn't connect after, we did not do a Sap Chat after the open houses.
No.
So
what a whirlwind those were. We didn't even get to see each other. It was just a whirlwind.
I mean, how many people came up to you, David? They're like, hey, it's not 0.
I don't know.
Come on.
A few.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many kids asked you for your autograph?
0.
Come on. If a kid came up to you and asked you for an autograph, would you do it?
Well, if it was a kid, yes.
All right.
It'd still be weird, but I would do it for the kid.
Right.
I mean, it would totally make their day,
Exactly.
But I would not be a fan.
Right. It's weird.
I would put on a face.
2 days a year, I'm Maple famous. 2 days a year, David. And then I can go back home and I'm a nobody. It's awesome.
I prefer that.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. For those of you who said hi, one of the things that when I met some YouTubers at the Paul Bunyan show and just over time meeting some YouTubers, because you end up in a community, right, David? That's how you and I met.
Yeah.
Like you end up reaching out and like, hey, can I help you? Can you help me? We end up becoming friends because of YouTube.
You're right. And then like, Scott.
And Tim. I would have never met Scott. I would have never met guys if it wasn't for YouTube. So it's a cool thing. It's a community. Well,
it is.
I've met some bigger channels and people. And one of the things I did not like is when you met some of them, they didn't see you. They were looking over your shoulder. They didn't really care what you had to say.
Yeah.
And they just looked. They weren't looking at you. They were looking through you. And I always felt like, man, that sucks. This guy, he has no interest in talking to me. He's just here. And then there's others that I'm like, no, they genuinely care.
Yeah.
And it drains you, by the way, to genuinely care. Like you lose energy. Like if you don't care, you don't lose any energy.
Yeah.
But when you meet people, look them in the eye, you ask them like, how many taps do you have? You're like, you legitimately, honestly, it helps me remember who they are.
Yeah.
I have to remember what evaporator you're running, your RO, how many taps you have. That's how I remember people.
Yep.
That's how all maple farmers remember people, right?
Yep.
So good deal.
Yeah, I think the one that I got to talk to the longest was Austin. He came up with his little boy and we talked, and he was having he just bought that brand new liter evaporator, and we were talking about that. And
Austin Purrington?
No, Thorndike.
Oh, I didn't even see him.
Yeah, really, really super good guy.
Wasn't he in Maine? Isn't he a Maine guy? Yeah.
Put me on the spot here. Ruthie's.
That's it.
Sugar House.
Ruth's
Yep.
Sugar House.
I need to ask him what the where that name came from, what the meaning is behind that. I've been meaning to ask him that. I guess Leader forgot to weld in the divider for the float in his float box.
Seriously? It happens.
It does. Well, I think the float box was from the trip before the transition period.
All right.
You know, so
Maple Fix is on. Sweet. I was just texting these guys. Now, this is a true story. This happened 5 minutes ago. I got a call from one of our bulk buyers, and these guys are in Malone, New York. So if you're in Malone, New York, look these guys up. They're doing a good job. This is their first load ever sending us. So I'm talking to these guys, and it's taken a while because you first meet somebody, right? You meet them, then you want to make sure that, you know, they know what a spout, the difference between a spout, spile, and a tap is. Some people don't know. So
here we go. You've been talking to Jeff, haven't you?
Yeah. So it's a Michigan thing. So
it's a spile, all right, Jeff.
Yeah. He calls me and he goes, "Listen, Nate, we just loaded 92 drums, and the trucker was like 4.5 hours away and said, 'Hey, I got to come back. I went over the scale and I was too heavy.'" So, you know, he sends me pictures. He's like, "I don't know, Nate." He's like, "I'm going to be sleeping at one." I'm like, "Darn right you will." So it's a carrier hired. And this is one of the things that we need to appreciate as maple producers is guys who haul for the maple industry, you know, like Bryant and Lauren. These guys haul for the maple industry and they get what we do. This truck driver, you know, didn't really speak the greatest English. Basically watched them load it in flip-flops and shorts.
Yeah.
And now they did what they told them, which was put everything to the front. Now, mind you, these guys, that's our first time sending us a load. And it looks bad on us because we hired a freight company who hired a freight company who hired somebody that, you know, you and I would have just hopped in the back of the truck and moved all the 40s to the back so the weight was correct. He's like, "I'm going to be there at 1 a.m. You guys are going to have to restack it." I'm like, "No, dude, Hunter, you don't have to do that. You do not have to get up at 1 a.m. That's his problem. This is what he asked you to do." So these are the type of things, you know, 9 o'clock at night, you know, that truck was supposed to be at our dock in the morning and, you know, he's just not going to be there. But, you know, the hardest thing is starting. So anytime we start up with a new syrup buyer, it's awkward at the beginning, but what is starting to happen is I give them all each other's numbers. You know, one of the things about the maple industry that caused me to start a YouTube channel was too much secrecy. And I felt like somebody once said it, like, you know, if your business relies on the ignorance of your consumer or your vendors, like, it's not a business, it's a scheme. Yeah. So I like everybody knowing everything, and to a fault probably. And I just felt like information was always like kept instead of shared. And I just like, why? What is the point? Like, why can't we help each other? Why can't we help each other get better? Yep. So like when I share, like we are all in a group text, we have calls, we meet. I want everybody buying syrup for me to know everything. Like we're a team. Because if syrup's a different price in this part of the country and a different price in this part of the country, I have to explain to them like, hey, I can't be having two prices. Here's why. It gets confusing for my team, which leads me to why I wanted to do this is I met so many people over the last 6 weeks. I at open houses, one of the reasons I want to do this is I forget a lot of you. Like I saved as many numbers as I could on my phone, and I wanted to do this live stream to say, if I haven't called you, I'm sorry. Like usually I'm driving. I drive like 40, 50,000 miles a year. It's stupid. How many miles are you putting on traveling?
I'm averaging 1,500 miles a week.
Yeah. So you're right there, dude.
Yeah. My truck I bought in September, brand new, drove off the lot with 8 miles on it. I think I just rolled over 38,000 on it. So
today, because I was actually talking to Scott Wheeler about this, I'm like, you know, I didn't take notes. I was driving, and he's like, there's technology for this. I'm like, you're right. So I downloaded this phone recording app, So like when I have a conversation, I can go back and listen to it and
Oh.
find out who they are. It'll show their number, everything. And I had one on my old phone. It saved my butt so many times. Like today, when Hunter called, it was like a 3-minute conversation. Hey, I need help. This trucker's, I just took that message, our 3-minute conversation, and I sent it to Jess and Justin so they can find out exactly what's going on without me having to repeat it and getting 70% of the information correct.
Yep.
So before we talk about open houses,
that just gave me an idea. Hang on one second. I'm gonna go grab something and show you something. Hang on.
I hope he brings back a ukulele. That would make my day. So I feel really bad because a lot of people came up to me at open houses. One of the reasons I want to do that, I'll put a link to our email below. If we talked about bulk syrup, either buying it for us or selling it to us or selling it to our buyers, please email me. If I didn't get back to you, I apologize. I'll be honest. I have a senior in high school. I swear to you, there is like an event every night. Like you get all these things you got to do. I got 3 boys in baseball. I'm running all over the countryside. I'm usually pretty good, but this spring kicked my butt. I think, yeah. So anyways, it's Bissell on YT. So Bissell on YT at gmail.com. Send me an email. We were going to talk about bulk syrup. And that's the biggest thing I had. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to look at the camera. I swear I save everybody's number. And then I put the state and I put like VT Maple or NY Maple. And the numbers now, it's like, you can scroll like.
So here you go, Nate. So this is my personal phone. This is my work phone. So on my work phone, I have a system called Badger. And you click on it. And it brings up, so I cover Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. So all these dots are all my customers.
That's amazing.
Okay. So here, I'm trying to get this to where you can see. So what you do is you just click on one.
Where did you find this app, dude?
So this is a Badger system. It's a program
through your boss can find out whether you're in your driveway.
So, no,
actually out of a call.
No, it's so I can keep record of what you're exactly saying. So I click on this farm right here. I click on the pin, and it brings up the farm, and it tells me the day I last checked in. So I click on it, and I get notes, and then I leave notes like if I spoke to somebody, and then it gives history too. So I can leave a description of what was there, what piece of equipment they might be interested in, and then I can set a reminder at the same time, and it automatically reminds me, go back and visit them in a month or whatever. So this is like would be super helpful for you because it literally saves their address, everything.
Yes.
And then you can put your notes in there, how many barrels they have, how many taps. It's
you talk to text or you type it out.
So
do you talk to text or like dictate
I talk. I talk to it. I can't text worth of crap.
All right. You got big thumbs like me.
So, yeah, that's something you might want to consider. Then everybody in your facility, everybody has access to that and can see where you've been, who the customer is. So the customer calls, all they have to do is go to the Badger, click on their profile, and it can see the Nate talked to them on the 3rd about this or whatever. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I like recording calls. I do, because sometimes I just don't have the time, and I can just forward the call and like tell somebody, hey, like if someone talks to me, I record the call. It's not, I'm not going to say at the beginning, this call is recorded for quality purposes. Ohio is a one party state, but I do it for training, for information. Like I just put it on there today, and thank goodness because this trucking incident happened. So yeah, we got Todd on here too. Holy cow!
Yeah,
I mean, it's only going to be a party when Renee gets on. So we got Adam and Todd, but it's not a party till Renee gets on here. All right, guys. Any questions on open houses? I'm seeing some questions on. Somebody put a question on one of my channels today, or one of my episodes today. It said, "Do I think steam is going to become common for the smaller guys?" And I think there's going to be an attempt. I do. I think there's already like 2x10s, 2x8s out there, 2x6s. I think Clayton said he's made some small ones before.
Yeah, it's
And
just
some people
the
want steam.
boilers, man.
Yeah.
The boilers, and then it's just a matter of time. I'm going to really piss some people off with this, but it is what it is. It's just a matter of time before somebody slacks off on an inspection on one of those, and one goes kaboom before all these new regulations and all this stuff happens. I mean,
boilers, you can't be a dummy. Like,
no,
you can't grab the wrong thing.
I hope it doesn't, but it's when you got more stuff in use and you look back when those were in their heydays, how common certain issues were, it's like,
there's pros and cons. I guess I've been thinking about it, like guys like Clayton that are putting in these Cleaver Brooks, these things are meant to run 24/7 in the steel mill.
Yeah, correct.
And 200, 300 horsepower. And, you can chew through metal if you don't treat it. Like, you should do something. But, they're meant to run a long time. Like, if you're running it 12 times a year, like, a lot of times these things are on low fire. They're not even being used to what they were designed. Like, steel mills buy these things.
Yeah. Well, what happens with your truck that you sit and walk away for a year and you think it's just going to be fine when you hop back into it? The battery's dead, all that, I don't know. I definitely think for the big producers, it's the only way to go. And they got the time and the manpower to maintain and check that stuff out. But I just don't
catch up some comments there. We got all sorts of comments on here tonight. Everybody needed their maple fix. I couldn't help it. So Renee is on here. So what do we got? Sounds like they can hear us. Sweet Extraction says, hey guys. Riverhill Maple, hello. Crestview Maple Farm. This guy's got a YouTube channel that's doing really well. He does really well. I met him at the D&G open house, and he's got a great channel. Collecting sap, and he just does a good job in front of the camera too. Like, he's easy to follow, understand. Like, he's way more likable than you and I combined. So.
That's not hard.
Yeah, the bar is not very high. So yeah, meeting him and talking to him, that was cool.
I didn't see him.
Yeah, he was at D&G. He was only looking for real, big maple superstars. So.
I see. I was at D&G for quite a bit. I think I spent the most money at D&G this year.
I enjoyed. So, did you hit every open house?
Yeah, I did.
When I say even DSD,
no.
What is it? Was it DSD Stars? I can't remember.
No, I didn't go to that one.
So Lapierre always has good food. D&G always has good food. I judge open houses based on the pulled pork. Is how I do it. Yeah, I had a good time.
I bought an auto bottle filler from Lapierre.
The forehead.
Yep. I originally. So this is what happened. I originally was getting the auto stops from Leader.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, once again, I'm not really brand loyal, and I look at everything, and everybody's got their pluses and minuses or whatever. I went over to Lapierre, and you could get 4 cheaper than you could get 2 of the Leaders.
Now, what are we talking about? So, like, for me, this is just my opinion. I've kind of talked to some folks about this, but the forehead filler that Lapierre makes, like, really helped us build our company. It's pneumatic, and it's got 4 overflow valves. You put your bottles in.
No.
The jigs.
No, this is the electronic auto
stop. Like it's got the little wire.
Yep.
And then when it makes contact.
Yep. So with Leader, you have to buy each individual head unit, which is fine. It works. It's nice. Lapierre thought a little bit more out of the box. You can get 1 head with a solenoid, and you can use that for just filling one if you want to buy just one. But on the side of the box, there's 3 outlets. So all you have to do is buy an $80 solenoid with the wire, and you can go down the line up to 4 heads. And it's all
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so Leader is $550 for just per unit, and it can only do one at a time. So you have to spend $1,000 for two. You could get, they had the special and everything. I'm pretty sure it was $850 for four of
Those would
this.
be handy.
Yeah. So
the most impressive manual fill operation I have ever seen is at Skinny Sticks Maple. And I'll have to get permission from Mitch at some point because I took video of his daughters and it looked like, you ever see somebody just playing the piano? Like their hands are going in the right place and it doesn't seem like it's in rhythm. And you're like, it doesn't look like what you're hearing. But these girls were running multiple nozzles and I'm talking to them like an idiot. But these girls could like do multiple things. So they crack a valve and they literally had all manual valves and they were just filling multiple bottles. It was the most impressive. It was just like a symphony. It was just, everything was, and I was just amazed. And I went back. I'm just like, yeah, we suck. We got a bottling line. These girls are just crushing it.
As soon as we switched to doing some plastic for shipping and people were requesting plastic that have kids and stuff, we started spilling a lot more syrup. And I was like, you know what? It's not going to take very long for these to pay for themselves. So
I remember early on, I bought a laser fill from the Maple guys. I think it was the Maple guys. They were in New Hampshire. I think they got bought out by somebody, maybe Lapierre or something, but it was a laser. You couldn't use it with glass, but you'd use it with a plastic jug and you'd stick the jug down and you'd point the laser where you wanted it to fill. So you just move the bottle and as soon as the syrup would come up, it hit the laser and stop. It was really cool. Like It was like way better than a valve because while it was filling, you can go do something, get the next bottle, cap, whatever. Like that was like when we moved from a valve to that, it changed our life.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping the same for this. But I was really wanting the leader. I really do like, it's got the same spring. It just, I'm small. I mean, every penny counts. It's the same. I liked the versatility.
It's expandable.
It is.
That's what you like.
It is.
You could,
and plus, if you have an issue, all you're replacing is an $80 solenoid instead of a whole head.
I got you. Although the new one they make is nicer than the older ones. Like
correct.
They must, it is nicer.
It was sharp.
The new leader fill stop's cool.
Yeah, I was 100% sold on them until I seen the Lapierre one and the versatility of it.
Yeah, expandable. So Maple Mike says D&G had the best free hats and the best prices on equipment. I snagged 3 hats. I'm not gonna lie. I said, look, my team loves a lot of people. I don't know if you know this, but the larger producers, it's pretty well known that D&G has the best large filter press. Like even people that own, unless they're paid to say otherwise, which some people I guess are paid to say one's better. Like just go to the biggest maple operations and you will see the D&G filter presses predominant. And so my guys run those things every day. And we got them. They had the nicest hats. So he is right. I snagged 3 of them for my team. Like every time I go, I like pick stuff back from my crew. Swag.
They had these ones are pretty nice with the leather patch.
Oh, though. That is nice actually. I like that.
Pretty sharp.
Yeah, that's not a cheapie.
No, I got this one for Ashley, the pink
one.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of cheap free garb. Like if you're gonna give something away, like no one's gonna wear it if you did it based on price. That's the accountant. The accountant will say, here's your budget. Well, if your budget's $100, then buy 4 good ones. Don't buy 25 cheapies because no one's going to wear them. So what's the point? So Brandy finally has found, like, I am really particular about the undershirts, like only Under Armour. I like the anti-wicking. So the t-shirts of the I got banned by maple syrup chat are being printed for those. I mean, I'm going back to Christmas. I kind of got on her a little bit. I'm like, not looking good here, Brandy. Like but she said they were all out. She couldn't find them. I believe her. Like, try to find Under Armour shirts. I they're probably not made in America.
Tariffs. It's the tariffs.
Yeah. So everything got scooped up, right? So, yeah. But they're all black Under Armour with I was banned by maple syrup chat or whatever. I can't remember what it says exactly, but they're high quality because I want you to wear them. What good is a free shirt or a free hat if it's
If
crap?
they're not good, yeah.
Like I have farmers that just came in. Like we have farmers that just came in. You know, I'm kind of excited. I'm giving a tour to another farmer tomorrow out of Lewis County. And I just had a crew come in from Lewis County. Like we have Carhartt hoodies. And I give a tour. Here you go. Like they're not crap. They're nice.
Yeah.
So I am a big fan of Carhartt, like quality stuff. So, but they're buying some syrup for us. So we now have also a syrup buyer in Lewis County, and another fella coming to talk tomorrow. That coincidentally is from Lewis County too. He might be just a little late, but I'm not opposed to having people work together either. So if I could introduce people and say, "Hey, why don't you guys work together?" You know.
Yeah.
David Wayne,
power in numbers.
Anybody that starts a question with David Wayne, your question is next.
Oh, no.
David Wayne, what percentage of your profits did you spend this year? Last year, I think it was 300%.
Probably 1,000%.
1,000%.
Oh.
Yeah, you bought some stuff, buddy.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, you bought that RO.
Bought the RO. That's going to be game changer. And then I bought this wasn't at the open house, but obviously I bought that 1,000-gallon dairy tank with the cooler unit and agitator. So I think what my plan is next year is come home from work, run the RO into the tank, and then boil on Saturdays.
He said I spent 300%. Not saying he did.
Oh no, I spent like 1,000%, probably more than that.
All right, here we go. Like this is good. So we're going to talk about some pricing, some bulk syrup pricing. Because here's a good question. Paquin's Mountain Maple says, here in Northern New York, I made medium and dark and got $2.35 a pound for it. I was wondering how it compares to what you are getting. Okay, here's a question. And I guess I want people to understand, like when you sell your syrup right away, like most bulk buyers, they have to use capital either from a bank, from their account. You know, they can get a 4% risk-free rate from the Treasury. So they can put their money in the Treasury, make 4%. But they typically have to pay interest. You don't just want to tie up money with syrup. So early season syrup's always going to sell for more. Yeah, $2.35 isn't the greatest. I will straight tell you, we're paying $2.50 for the top 3 grades of conventional. And we take off grade. I'm starting to find some, remember my packer discussion, there's like primary, secondary, tertiary. I think we're more of a secondary. But there's some secondary and tertiary packers that I only want good syrup. And that's fine. But if you don't have markets for it, like farmers, like for me, I can maybe pay a little bit more for the off grade because I have markets, which farmers I think like to sell their syrup all at once. Like they don't need to be piecing it all out. I guess it depends on your size, but if you got 10 drums, you don't really want to send a drum to 10 different people. That's a pain.
Correct.
But yeah, listen. Yeah, $2.35 is definitely a good deal. It depends on when you sold it, I guess. If it was last year's syrup and you sold it on last year's prices, you know, I don't know all the details. But yeah, $2.50 for conventional is where we're at on the top 3. And I mean, Pete Ross sent that price. I mean, we buy so much syrup out of Wisconsin. Like once Pete came out with it, it's like, well, I'm going to match it. You know, I'm going to match it. I have to. Like,
and he doesn't buy any off grade though.
Oh, he does. Like,
I know his video he put out said there's no market for commercial. He has no interest in purchasing commercial grade.
I don't know if any of you old Maple Trader folks remember the word Mersh. I mean, Dave was probably in diapers. That's how long I've been on Maple Trader. Does anybody remember Mersh? I mean, I remember Mersh. It was like a funny word. Like I'm going back 20 years. Like Mersh, M-E-R-S-H. Mersh is commercial. We would say Mersh because it was like the worst commercial. like spit it out of your mouth. There's like 3 types of off grade, right? 1, 2, 3. This is how we do it.
Yeah.
Slightly there. It's there. You wouldn't put it on in your pancakes. If you did, we'd make fun of you. And then number 3 is spit it out of your mouth. Like that's Mersh. So I think he's talking about Mersh. Like when you run into risk of burning your pan because it doesn't want to come out, like it's the 4th phase of matter. It's not a solid. It's not a liquid. It's not a gas. I have literally gotten drums of this stuff before. You stick your finger in it and you pull it out and your finger's dry. like what is that? It's the 4th phase of matter. I don't know.
I've never.
It's not a solid.
That.
It's not. It's like it's not a solid because you can pour it. It's like a goo. That's Mersh. So, Taylor Williams says, if people will buy it, I'm going to keep making Mersh. I don't know. Taylor, do you remember the Mersh word? I think it's hilarious. Is that the first time you've heard Mersh, David?
It is. This is the
making
first.
Some Mersh. Yeah, that's old school maple trader there for the old school maple trader folks. I don't know. I'm probably the oldest guy on this thing.
That's below Bissell grade, huh?
Yeah, no, the Bissell Special. The Bissell Special. Yeah. I tell you what, everybody loves Dan Crocker. Love his videos. You know, that's what I'm like the garbage man in Vermont. Like I go around and I get the worst syrup. Yeah, they're all calling, hey, we're on Bissell grade, the Bissell Special. It's funny. I used to be able to say I made the most expensive maple syrup in the world with the Pappy Van Winkle barrel-aged maple syrup, but I can't anymore because Daryl out in Washington State, $500 a gallon. Like you win. Like broadleaf maple, big leaf maple. I don't think anybody's beating $500 a gallon.
No.
On a regular basis.
Technically, doesn't it have to be donation though? So you still might be able to hold that crown.
That's true. I don't know. That's true. That's funny. Yeah, Bascom rate 245, 240, and 235. So 245 on golden, 240 on amber, 235 on dark. Oh, wow. I predict Bruce will come up though. I do. I think Bruce will come up. I think he's
gonna have to, right?
Yeah, but as long as farmers keep sending it in, but I think he'll make it right. Like Todd Phillips says, Mersh is what we used to call bad weed back in the day. When we were teenagers. Sure, Todd. Sure, Todd. You're from Vermont. I know better. That's like a food group. What is Lincoln County's reserve price? I don't know. I don't run into them very much. I have heard
Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's Wisconsin. I don't know. Like I heard some stories of where they sent some off grade back. Like maybe I need to call these guys and say, I don't know why you're sending your off grade back. Maybe you should just sell it since we have markets for it. I mean, there's industrial markets for it. But if you just cherry pick good syrup, you have to pay more. So like right now, Sugarman's paying $2.60 a pound. $2.60 a pound. I've heard, I have about 10 texts of guys that, wanted to sell me syrup, and Sugarman's at $2.60 a pound. It's like, get it, dude. Good for you. That's conventional. Yeah. That's probably the best conventional price out there. Good for you, man. Like, I'm not going to be offended, but they're like, but I got some commercial they don't want. Well, I need to get a hold of somebody at Sugarman, or somebody needs to text me the number and say, listen, why are you turning these farmers away? Take the commercial in and I'll buy it. Like, that's not uncommon. Some packers have certain markets where they have to make sugar, so they make a lot of golden, or they need a lot of golden to make sugar.
Or Nate, why don't you say this? Well, sell me all your syrup for $2.50 a pound, and I'll take your stuff that they don't want to buy. One-stop shop.
Oh, I do. I think people get. This is just my experience.
Because then you're doing a favor. Don't go sell over here for this, and then bring me your crap. Why don't we just work together? I'll buy all of it.
Yeah, this has just been my experience that farmers typically will focus. Some farmers will typically focus on the lower scores or the lower prices of things. They rarely average or do a weighted average. You cannot average, just take two numbers and average them. You have to do what they call a weighted average. And if they do look at weighted average, I think overall I typically pay more. if you look at a weighted average,
Yeah.
especially in a year like New York's going to have a rough time this year with a lot of the syrup. About a third of the crop has got some, they just have some off flavor from metabolism, and we're going to try to work through it with them.
Yep.
It's just something that happens, kind of like the farmers in Michigan.
Yeah.
Guy loses half of his woods or all of his woods. Like, I don't know.
And that's why you're paying $4 a pound for Michigan syrup this year.
If it's Michigan Fancy. If it's Michigan Fancy, that's worth $4 a pound.
That's priceless.
It is. It was only made once. Although I think Dom had a lot of fun with that.
He did. There's a maple leaf of Michigan Fancy in Vermont at a Corys residence.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, during the video, he was basically like, "I'm making this for Linda."
It is. It's out there.
So if anybody knows Lincoln County's price, you can post it on here. I mean, there's nothing like this is public stuff. This is what I mean. Like, why can't it be public? Why is everything a secret? I was talking about that at the open houses. Like, how come we can't just know the price of what the Federation, like, why is it like a secret? It's supposed to be public, but try and find it, man. Like, listen, I'm going to try to dig into this. I've been like emailing people. Like, I want to go visit the Federation and do a video. Like, I got my passport back. I'm going to go and like ask questions because it's like this mysterious Oz. Okay. And
we're going to call Trump and get Nate out of the Canadian.
Where did Nate
We're going to have to do a prisoner trade.
Yeah. You can just see my husky butt trying to run for the border. Yeah. Of course, anybody running for the border right now, it probably is a little sensitive.
Yeah. Is it true, or was that really AI, that video that's going around where they're banning any car? No, they're banning cars 2000 and older or something in Canada. That can't be true.
That.
Is it real, or is it
like Alberta's just going to leave Canada? Like, yeah, no trucks real. With what was it? No pickup trucks,
tinted windows,
no tinted windows, and no lift kits.
Yeah, no
lift kits because it's going to reduce your MPG. Like, try to say no lift kits in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. See how that goes. Yeah. So
Florida.
So yeah, I got some good so let's see. The barrels I've bought were 260, 265 average for good quality. I don't have a big enough market for B grade. I make enough myself for my needs. So yeah, River Hill. I think he's in Pennsylvania as well. And then Taylor says, that was a pretty funny discussion at Lapierre about Federation pricing. It had me laughing. Look, I haven't published that yet because I don't know if I made a rear end of myself, but I certainly don't hold back. I'm just like, why is it a freaking secret? Like everybody, I'm like, anybody else wonder? The entire market's dependent on Canadian prices, but we can't find them. Like,
is that what you're doing when we showed up and you're at that table? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't like, and then everybody else is kind of like maybe squirming a little bit. Like, I don't know. Like, and that's the thing. Like, every 10 years you look back and say, man, I was dumb. Right? Like every 10 years you look back and go, oh, I have a feeling like there's like a secret society and I had no idea. And then the other guys are like, he doesn't know. And like 10 years from now, like they're going to be like, light your candle, Nate, to the secret syrup society or something. I don't know. Like, why is it a secret?
Well, is this the same one you sat down and they asked that, what should we do for the maple syrup industry to grow? And you go, give all our money to Nikki Boxler.
Yeah. Listen, if she becomes a billionaire, we all win. Like, this is logic. And this is why I laugh when like farmers are like, we're going to get money together and market. Like, no, you're not. You're going to argue over every nickel. And, farmers are good at making syrup. That's just the truth.
Especially the guys in Vermont.
Like, that was like, no more talking about marketing, Nate. Like, all right. Like, we're going to sell. We want to talk about this checkoff or whatever. We want a producer-controlled marketing budget. Oh, this is how you win. All right, no more talking, Nate. That's basically like, all right. All right, you do your marketing. I'll do my marketing. I don't like tell like the best farmers in the world how to make syrup. It's silly, and I wouldn't tell a fabricator at a maple equipment company how to properly bend and
Fair.
weld stainless. But I kind of do know a little bit about selling syrup.
Yeah.
Like I suck at the other two. And I probably suck at selling syrup too. In 10 years, I'm gonna look back and go, oh man. You don't have the 10-year look back where you're just like, I didn't know anything.
Oh, I'm sure. I try not to.
So yeah, Taylor, that was pretty funny.
My first year of tubing, 25 taps per lateral, baby. Killed it. Killed it.
Yeah. Listen, I have visited Dan Crocker so many times that like the first time, like I'm always 3 episodes behind and I was freaking there. Like I have to see it like the third time. Like I have a learning disability. I don't know. Like I don't learn well in the first try.
First go around.
Yeah, so I had one more thing. It was pretty funny. Not banning old cars in Canada, not banning lift kits. So was that just a smear tactic?
I don't know. I heard somebody say
Farms says we are not banning old cars in Canada. That's the point. It wasn't old. It was like 2020 and older, wasn't it? Or 2000 and older.
It was 2000 and older.
Yeah, I guess that's old now. That's like a classic car these days. But yeah, somebody has spoke up from, I'm assuming, Canada and said that is not true. So other bulk prices. I did want to talk about, like, a lot of people don't know this, but when I was 19, 20, 21, I put myself through college selling pieces and parts on eBay. And I would go out in a field in Western Pennsylvania and I would buy these old Gravely tractors. They were walk behind tractors. And I would carry them up to my dorm room with my roommate and tear these things down and sell the pieces. Because if you grew up with these things, they're like an iconic, they'll beat the crap out of you. They're a walk behind tractor.
Yeah.
And it would shake you, and I just loved them because they had like every attachment known to man. Like they had trenchers, they had everything. Like I have one with a little stump grinder on it. It's cool. In fact, Benjamin, my youngest boy, his middle name is Gravely. His name is Benjamin Gravely Bissell after the tractor because it's had such a big impact in my life. But if you remember early on in the eBay days, when somebody was trying to sell something, they would say, well, it's $50 on eBay. And you would have to go to something called completed listings. Now stick with me. This is going to tie right back to bulk syrup. Because people would say something's worth $50 and they would try to use eBay as a price guide. And they would go and they'd say, this piece right here, look, I'm like, they're asking 50. It didn't sell for 50. And there's a little box, you click on it. It's completed listings. And that'll tell you what truly things are worth. Because I would go to garage sales with my wife. She's a big garage seller. And I was always looking for like old World War II. I remember this time I found an old World War II compass. And sometimes I found a Gibson like SG base, like brand new, never touched. Like cool things like from garage selling. So that's how I like bought my wife's engagement ring, was from eBay and paid for school. But people would try to use it as a price guide. And I think sometimes that's what happens with bulk pricing. I should have led with that. I had this really long story. You're going to have to like rewind it because it's going to make sense. Well, so-and-so, I heard so-and-so's paying this. Like Sugarman's paying $260, but they're not a huge maple company. So like when somebody hears that price and they go $260, well, they're taking the best and they're getting rid of the off grade. And the farmers are, okay with that because then they can make sure their neighbor knows I got $260, right? That's what usually happens. That's the biggest fear of everybody. There's more to it than that. But every season's different, right? Like that's the one thing Scott was saying to me this morning. He's like, every maple season's different. And it's just like a new game every year. Like, syrup will be, great season in Wisconsin, not as great of a season in Ohio and Southern Michigan. Like it's different every year.
Yeah.
Good questions here. Good questions coming up. So here we go. Here's I heard Lincoln Reserve was also $250. So $2.50 a pound, but I also think they're not accepting the off grade. And then like the off grade, I call it the Shawshank Redemption maple syrup is what we do for the industrial markets. If you remember Andy Dufresne, I mean, I could talk about Shawshank, right? I'm not going to blow it for everybody. It's been like 30 years. Like if you haven't seen it, like shame on you. First of all, it's the best movie ever made. Have you seen it? Crying out loud, David. So, anyways, Andy is he's sprinkling the prison wall out in the prison yard through he cut a hole in his pants, his pocket, so he could sprinkle the prison yard, and he's chiseling through the wall over like 20 years. It's essentially what it is.
Okay.
And it's hidden in plain sight. And that's my point. That's what you can do with like commercial one. Like it's barely there. You know it. The farmers are better at grading. Like honestly, they know. Like a lot of farmers know. They're really good. They're almost more strict than we are. Because you pick the best for your own family, right? What you're going to put on your table. You know when you make bad stuff. And I think the game has become, I got this for this crappy syrup I sold, which like, all right, that's your game. I don't like, it's become, some of the relationships have become adversarial. That's what I'm saying. So 250, probably. One of the other things I've noticed is like very dark strong. If it tastes good, it's like the most valuable maple syrup for a packer.
Yeah,
it really is. Like
you
those
can burn
guys
that over so much.
Yeah, wood fired. Like it's one of Zach. Like at our team, if you have good tasting very dark, like it's valuable. You should not be docked. Like, but there's a lot of very dark that isn't good tasting.
Yeah,
but my company was built on making maple syrup wrong. My dad and I couldn't make golden. We couldn't make amber. We made dark robust and very dark strong. That probably was dark robust that we just overcooked. But we got lucky. Like somebody called us up, asked us for syrup, tried a bunch of syrup samples. It was a restaurant before they opened their first location. They bought it. They're from the South, so they grew up with sorghum, Miss Buttersworth, all of these dark, strong flavored toppings. So in the Southeast, if it's light in color, they think it's watered down.
Yeah.
Now we don't
can't sell it here.
We don't even first of all, most of us are going to sell what we like. I think I really offended a fella after that speech because he was like, my customers only like medium. I'm like, which one's your favorite? He's like, medium. I'm like, yeah, I know. They look at you. You're the expert. And I'm like, what about you? Like, I wasn't trying to it's a marketing thing. I went to school for this, man. There's a lot of psychology to this. Yeah. And I've done it for a while. But we got so many comments. I want to get to them.
Yeah.
80 people, David.
Wow.
80 people. So here we go. Chris Markart. Agreement is also in place for next year, 2026. So I did get a picture of the Federation pricing. Somebody actually got it from somebody up there in Quebec. And prices are going up 4 to 5 cents next year. And organic premium is reduced 22 cents to 18 cents. This is, I'm guessing, in the CAD, so Canadian dollar. The loonie, as they say. So, Gavin, is that correct? Is that in the loonie? I'm assuming so, because the prices are set. And this is actually where the price of maple syrup, this is what happens. When the prices are set, they're set in Canadian dollars. They can't be changing them. People borrow money to buy tubing. They can't be going up and down. They set out a 3-year. This is why we have stability in the maple industry. This is why the Federation's good. So, almost always good. I should say. Good for us. Good for U.S. farmers. We've had stability because of them. So, I don't want to get into the 51st state yet, because I did want to talk about that a little bit and what would happen to syrup prices. I don't think that's going to happen. But there would would be a free market versus a not. We have freedom syrup down here, and it would be interesting to see what would happen. What do you do? That's a very complex thing. I don't think that'd be the biggest worry on the geopolitical spectrum. What's going to happen to syrup prices? So Federation is around $2.40 a pound. Now, is that to the farmers or to somebody like me? And the other thing is we recently we inquired and said, look, I'd like to get a semi-truck load of dark robust. I had Taylor look it up, like contact them. Like, I want to understand this. So we want a semi-truck load of dark robust. And here's what they told us. It's all 55-gallon drums, and you get about 66 drums on a semi. They said, Nate, we'll sell you 25 drums of good tasting dark. Like, wouldn't this be a good video? Do you want to go with me, David? Like, let's go up there.
When?
I don't know. Like, if they even let me in. If I show up with my camera, there's 3 locations plus the HQ. You know.
I don't know. My 2 hours in Canada might have been enough for me.
I really want to like go and
definitely don't take Dom with you, or you guys definitely aren't making it back.
Because there's probably more to that, but there's a lot of misinformation out there. Like the Packers say this, the farmers, I just want the truth, and I want to just put it on YouTube so everybody can get the truth. But some of us, I don't think, want the truth, because then we can't complain, right?
There you go.
But I do think, like, it's a 3-year contract. Somebody has it. Like, I'm going to post it on my freaking, like, everybody should be able to find it. Like, I'm going to put a ticker in the front of my building. My neighbors are going to have lights, you know, with a ticker on it. But at least and I'm going to tie, like, Danny, like, the kid that's been working with me, he's on the longest job interview ever, like 6-7 weeks. I call him my intern, but we're going to bring Danny on eventually. But he figured out a way to tie in the Canadian dollar to a spreadsheet so I can, on a website, put what the freaking price of maple syrup is in Canada in US dollars. So we understand. Like, there should be a ticker. Like, why isn't there? So good questions. Do you think the Federation keeps price up, or do they make it lower, or just stabilize the price? So by having inventory, you stabilize the price. But one thing no one has control over is the Canadian dollar to US dollar, the exchange rate. So a lot of people don't know this, but the largest export in Canada is oil. We are the largest purchaser, but the largest thing that comes out of Canada is oil. There is a strong correlation to the price of oil, the barrel of oil, and the Canadian dollar. So when oil goes up, you'll find there's an 83% correlation. That's pretty strong. But there's an 83% correlation that if oil goes up, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that the US dollar and Canadian dollar were even, and that's why syrup was $3.30 a pound, because if the price is set at $3.30 a pound in Canadian and the US dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar, it comes in at whatever, 70% of that. But when it's par, even, well, that's because the price of oil's up. Almost always. So correlations are strong, but it's not exact. I like to use the word almost always for a correlation. So Brian, he says $260 for a buyer a week in Wisconsin, but I think they had their fill right away. Yeah, a lot of syrup in Wisconsin. Yeah. And I remember 10 years ago panicking, right? So a lot of the panic buying, like farmers will sit around and wait for the guys panicking. And I've been that guy. And I look back and I see myself and a lot of guys right now that I would consider tertiary packers. And I'm like, oh, I did the same thing. You poor soul. You know, and there's farmers just waiting for you. Like they're the price, guys get panicked. I did. I still do sometimes. And my team goes, Nate, you say that every year. It's 20 years. No. It's going to be short, Nate. Yeah, we don't believe you anymore. No. It's kind of like somebody that's always sick. They have what do they call it? A hypochondriac. You know what it says on a hypochondriac's tombstone? I told you I was sick. So
nice.
So now Hughes is making a comment. How is that? Is that you or is it Ashley?
It's me.
Yeah.
I finally pulled up comments.
Cool. Yes, Gavin has confirmed that was all in Canadian dollars, in the loonie. So what would be fun, Brian? I really want to go to the Federation. I think there needs to be more transparency. And I think that's the thing. Like, if your business is built on people not finding out information today. It's like, I'd think 20, 25 years ago, bulk prices didn't spread like they do. Like, I sent you a text and like 4 people an hour later sent me a text from Vermont. I sent you a text. You shared it with somebody. And it's like, so you can't like give
that
people.
was on Facebook. Somebody asked me a price on Facebook, and you're like, yeah, send it to them. So I sent it to them. And then, like you said, it was like, holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to be public.
Yeah.
I think people need to choose like where are they going to be in 20 years? Like, where are you going to be in 10? Some people just wait from year to year and they just want to sell to the highest bidder. Listen, I'm not your guy. Like, you and another packer, you probably deserve each other. Like, I'm not looking for somebody. And most farmers, to their credit, will not switch for a nickel or a dime. They really need a good reason.
Yeah, that's a lot of, I think, for a lot of the guys there locally in Vermont, Butternut's treated them pretty good, and it's tough to get,
I think Butternut is like the standard, right? I think they're the standard. They set the standard. They
treat their farmers good.
Yeah, people don't leave them. And I will say, out in the field, like, not even in the markets, Butternut customers don't leave.
No.
Like, you don't get business from a Butternut customer. Yeah. So I have found, and if you do, it's by friggin' accident. Like, it's not because you're that good. It's just, luck. But the farmers that way too. Like, they are just as loyal.
Yeah. So it's not a bad thing. It's just not a bad thing.
And by the way, I respect it. I will say, I was telling Scott this. Good customers are hard to get.
Yeah.
They're also hard to lose.
Yeah.
I think the same is true for good farmers.
Yeah.
If it's easy to lose a farmer, dude, I got 3 other buyers that, 3 other packers. Like, you guys deserve each other. Like, I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
If it's too easy to lose a farmer, they're not a good farmer to partner with. I mean, if it's really egregious, like you did something really dumb, insulted his wife, I don't know. Like, you had it coming. But most of the time where there's a problem, every relationship's exactly 50-50.
Yeah.
It's the truth. But yeah, so Brian's asking me, Nate, you have a set price all year, or does yours go up in the price later in the year? Going to the reserves and seeing maple change hands in large quantities, that would be interesting, I think. But yeah, we do. It's the same that Butternut does. And I actually just stole the idea from them because I'm like, that's smart. Like, I'd rather give the money to the farmer than the bank. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's really I think that's how Butternut grew. I think the farmers helped them. The way it works in the banking world is, and why the packers are the farmers collectively have way more assets. Like, if you could get all the farmers to be one company, like, any bank would be like, yeah, I'll back you. But individually, they don't have as many assets as, say, a large packer. There's a lot of farmers out there that have a lot more assets than I do. But as far as large packers, like, that's what they borrow against. So, I think somebody told me Bruce has like 1,000 acres. Like, that is the collateral, right? Because he has collateral, he can borrow money at a lower rate than people. But if you're growing, the bank will only loan you on what you did last year. Have you figured that out yet?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, your options are grow slow with the profit, borrow money, take on an investor. That's like your real option. So, if you can borrow money, that's the key. Like, and that's why packers are in the position they're in, is they can borrow the most money. So therefore, they're in a better
buying power.
They do.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, you know what, farmers, I'm going to pay 2 cents a pound per month. And I think it's a good thing. Like, I'm either going to pay it to the bank or you. So, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit.
Makes sense. No, that makes sense.
And I straight tell the farmers, like, I'm not going to be able to grow without you. Like,
You know what you should do,
cost.
Nate, is go do a video and see how much Canadian syrup you can heist and smuggle across the border. That would be awesome content.
Yeah. Hey, can't we just do that with AI and just say we did? Like Nate's big old like belly sticking out, rolling on the ground, getting cuffed. Like that's that'd be funny. That'd be funny. So good questions. 80 people. Man. What else do we have for the open houses?
What's that?
What else did we have for the open houses? Oh, you got your D&G hat on. It's one of the nice ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They had 3 different colors.
I've been wearing this one to work.
Cool. So what else did we have at the open house?
The supper was a lot of fun with Scott.
Oh, that was.
And the Corys. Yeah.
Yep.
That was enjoyable.
That place, Twigs, we're shutting that place down often.
We did. Yeah, that was pretty good.
We did
time.
see
the steam rig at Leader was pretty cool. That 2x10.
Yeah, those little ones are cool looking, aren't they?
It's cool.
It almost makes it look like you can afford it. You're like, oh, that's cute, and then you're like, yeah, you just need $100,000 boiler.
Yeah,
run that cute evaporator.
What do you think about the electric ones like D&G has? That
I mean, they've been around a while.
I know. Did you actually look at one and see their process and how it's supposed to like make better quality syrup and stuff? Like, they have a whole
even
thing.
like CDL has that where they're pulling a vacuum, heating it up, and it makes a lighter colored syrup.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. I could see that taking over before the steam, honestly. The way the solar fields are popping up and all that stuff, I could see electric going before steam, personally.
I love this question from Trevor. This is a great question. What happens if something happens and the syrup is not paid up for, but you got the product already? Well, this actually boils down. This is occurring all the time. They just don't know it, but there has to be a level of trust. So if my building burned down, thank goodness we have sprinklers, but I'm insured. Like, I'm insured for what I have in my, if something happens. So, I mean, a lot of it is you got to trust somebody's word that they're going to do what they say they are. Track record. I think a lot of farmers will go, well, this guy's been around a long time, which is fair. Good correlation. Been around a long time, probably going to pay you. Right?
Yeah.
I love this. That's a great, that's a great question.
It's a fair question.
And I also think there's trust both ways. Like, how do I know farmers aren't putting cane sugar in syrup? Right?
Well, you test it though, right?
I mean, who's going to, that's a very expensive test. I will say, like, farmers are honest. Like, I've never had there's a strong correlation to maple farmers. Like, I've never met a guy with a Gravely that I didn't think was honest or, that I'd trust. The same thing. Like, I don't know. There's a correlation. Maple farmers, they take a lot of pride in what they do. And I think they would be very upset if they heard their neighbor was just putting water and cane, granular sugar together. But by the way, like, human palate couldn't tell. I think it would be fun to do a taste test with maple farmers and the Cracker Barrel syrup.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That would be hilarious.
It would be, because everybody's like, oh, why are they doing that? It's like, okay, let's do a taste test. And I would straight mess with everybody. Like, sometimes it'll be all Cracker Barrel, sometimes it'll be none. But, I have to hold a straight face because people think they can tell. No, the human palate cannot.
No, I'm telling you, I've said it on here before. I'm a maple producer, and I don't mind it at all.
This is an interesting one. Insurance can be ways out for payout. I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I pay a lot for insurance for something like that. Like, I would hope that Packers would do the same thing that maple farmers do. I think somebody up in Maine, somebody told me the story about somebody's sugar shack burned down, and CDL came in, put an evaporator in the driveway, and all the farmers helped. If something happened to my building, I would try to help a Packer too. And this is something, when I say I look back 10 years and I have to laugh at what I thought, I was so afraid 15 years ago that if Bruce was packing syrup for my customers, that he'd find out who my customers were and go take them. Like, that's because you see the world as you see yourself. You think that's how people get where they are, is by taking and stealing, and some do. And I think that's why people look at it and go, actually, the most successful people get where they are by helping others succeed.
Power in numbers.
There is. So what else we got here? Maple Mike. Insurance could be paid out. I don't know. I don't know. I think the biggest risk in this industry for producers is co-ops. That is the biggest risk. This happens to, who are the owners of a co-op, David?
The farmers.
The farmers. If you look at the dollars in sales and you see a lot of cars in the parking lot, co-ops are a nice idea, but do you think the managers and everybody running the co-op are going to let a farmer know, hey, psst, we're about to shut down. Don't send me any syrup or don't send me any milk. No, dude. Like at the end, the creditors are the maple producers. So like if they shut down and don't pay their bills, like co-ops are the biggest risk. They typically run heavy in staff. It just, the farmers are the ones that end up paying, There's some really good co-ops though, like Ocean Spray Cranberry. I guess you could argue if you're a farmer, I remember over by us, we have Welch's grape juice.
Yeah.
And then Welch just decided to build a brand new corporate headquarters for their administrative staff in Concord, Massachusetts. Like, do you think the farmers were all like, yeah, let's get rid of the old one and go build a brand new one where it costs 10 times more to live? What happens? Where do you think the money comes from?
Yeah.
By the way, the Federation, ask farmers from Quebec, like they get nickel and dime, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, we need more for marketing. We need more.
I still think it's crazy how they can tell them who they can sell to, can't sell to, and how much they can make and can't make. Like it's just.
Well, you can't control the inventory if you don't control the output. It's just
I get it, but it's
Saudi Arabia.
I would not do well in that setting.
I mean, Saudi Arabia can really control the price of oil by increasing output or reducing output. So if they want the price of oil to go up, and there's a place where two lines intersect, where if you want to hit it on the sweet spot, for sure. So yeah, Trevor, yeah, you could lose everything, man. Like it could happen. I guess you just need to make sure that you're partnering with somebody that's honorable, and it could be outside your control. There is, by the way, a lot of trust in the maple industry. A lot of deals are done in handshakes. For sure.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing to me. Like, this is why I also love the industry. Do you know how many times I've shook a man's hand and bought $100,000 worth of syrup in a semi-load? And we met, maybe talked. And it's like, I also love when farmers come visit because our closure rate is like 100%. When they come to Ohio,
your facility.
Yes. Yeah. Same for customers, by the way. If I get a customer to my facility, we close it like 100% closure. So I'm always trying to get customers there.
Well, it's Willy Wonka's syrup factory, man.
It works. Like, and it's the same thing. Like when I get farmers to our facility, like it usually, I mean, it almost always closes it because they're like, oh, this dude's not in the garage, Oh, it's just, I had one the other day. Somebody was asking me, it was a farmer's like, well, what happens if you get hit by a bus, Nate? I'm like, that's a great question. I saw the same thing about 5 years ago. So I have spent and I'm not done. Like I have people, like if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, my family would be okay. Like I have a team in place. My company is not me. In fact, that's a terrible idea to build the company. It's true.
You're the mascot, Nate.
I am. I give tours and I make YouTube videos.
You're the mascot.
I don't even do that. I have people to help me edit. Like I haven't. Linda's on here. Linda, somebody asked me a question. They wanted to know the update for we could actually send you guys the link if you wanted to jump on here. How your season went. Somebody was asking me, hey, how did the Corys do with the stubbies and check spouts? So I'm gonna, unless you want to text Jeff and Linda and say, hey,
you want me to send it to him, Nate?
Yeah, just send it to him. I don't mind if they jump on. Good. The driver is not turning around. Good job, Justin. Guy's a stud. Our logistics guy is a good one. We were in scouts together. Good. Like, this is an awesome sap chat, dude.
Yeah.
I know I've done most of the talking. I have.
You're good.
I've enjoyed myself.
You're good.
80 people. David, this is like a record. So,
What, you know?
oh, this is a great one. Seth Weber. Seth and I have been communicating. I think he's in Maine, Farmington, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry. I was going to read some comments. Go ahead. What'd you have?
No, you're good. You're good. I sent it to Linda.
I love this. What's your maple goals this year? She's going to go have to wake Jeff up.
Yeah, they've been at the cabin hanging out. I'm surprised they're back. I thought they were supposed to be in New York.
So, good question, Maple Mike. What are your maple goals this year? So, let's get I'm going to come back to that one because that's a really good one to kind of close on after we talk to the Corys. But so Seth Weber says, I shipped milk with Organic Valley Co-op. We about went up. Do I have the beep? I don't know if I have.
You haven't been using any of that.
I haven't. Wait, let me see.
Been very disappointed.
I don't know. Can you hear any of it? Air horn. What do we got? The beep. Anyways, I have the air horn here, but I haven't used it. There's crickets.
Oh, I heard a cricket.
All right. I found it. So we got a record scratch. So we went up and the expensive buildings hired all their friends. Now they're cleaning house and getting lean. So Organic Valley Co-op, is that the same one that's like, there's a milk one, I believe, in Wisconsin that is somewhat associated to the maple, but not. It was started by an Ohio guy, actually. I think his name was Cecil Wright. He was an Ohio guy down from our area. But Organic Valley Co-op. So Seth, I want to hear more about this. Linda's asking, how do you get in? So
I sent her the link.
Did you send her the StreamYard?
Yep. Linda, you just got to click on the link I sent you.
So Steve Doyen has asked, are you looking at expanding your empire to Vermont, purchasing a farm or a facility? Yeah, I mean, at some point. I mean, I'd like to, when I take people from outside the maple industry that are friends, family, and I bring them up to Franklin County, I like to let them know that 1/4 of the maple syrup is made in this country, is made in this county. Like, it's a significant amount of syrup. So I'm getting texts. So cool. Yeah, teats. There you go. So Seth, tell me more about this. So you actually shipped milk to Organic Valley Co-op, and what he's saying is they built expensive buildings. By the way, the farmers can't do what the co-op can do, right? So the co-op is going to go build brand new buildings. The creditors, or the people with the equity in, are the farmers. And this is my point. Like, co-ops can be dangerous for the farmers, and it sounds good, but yeah. So yes, expanding in Vermont would be cool. It really would. I foresee it at some point. Truthfully, I'm like on the young end of the maple spectrum, even though Dave's like a baby, because the curve of age in the maple is like, what is the average age of maple producers now? Like 65?
It's got to be 60.
Yeah, like I'm a young guy. And
you should
who are these people going to sell their operations to? Because I don't know. Like, there's not a lot of people out there like, I really want to go work. Like, that's my dream.
Dude, that's the real pandemic.
Yeah. Like,
that's the real pandemic, dude.
Although I'm starting to see like this next generation coming in. Like, I have found like they're a little bit harder working than the millennials. Like, I wasn't really impressed with the millennials.
Am I technically a millennial? What's the millennial years?
I don't know. I'm just not. But you are the largest in the workforce. So Jeff's ready. We're going to add Jeff.
I don't know.
There you are.
Oh, man.
Good evening.
There he is.
Oh, I like the computer better.
Yeah, we can just. That's all right. That's all right. He's gonna have to turn one down.
I'll turn my phone off.
There you go. That works.
Now I just got to figure out how to make. There we go.
Spin the camera around. We're looking at your jeans. No, I don't know, but we'll finish while he's getting situated. It's a pretty good question.
Oh, there's a delay there, isn't there?
There is. Hashtag boomer tech. We love boomers. I mean, I don't know. Jeff might be right on the end of Gen X. I don't know.
I'm going to see if I can look that up. I'm curious to see if I'm a millennial or not.
Gen X, I don't know.
There you go, Jeff. Just use that one that you're on right there. There you go.
Yeah, we use the little phone thing here.
Yeah, that's working.
All right, Jeff. Here's the question.
Going tonight?
Good. We got 80 people on here, and one of the questions I heard was, how did Jeff do with the stubbies and the check valve adapters? How did it go for you? Are you gonna keep going?
I just figured that all up, and I'm gonna show my phone to the paper that I just did and see if we can make it come on.
Cool.
Actually, I can read it out.
Yeah, just read it out.
We had two woods with brand new drops and new signature spouts. Those one woods did 35.4 gallons per tap, and the other woods did 35.04 gallons per tap. In the check spouts with 3 and 4 year old drops did 3.89 gallons per tap.
So 38.9.
35.89 gallons per tap.
Wow, so right on par.
Yeah, they were all right in the ballpark.
Gotcha.
But 3 and 4 year old drops were running. They ran right to the end.
So what was your earliest tap?
January 13th. And that would have been.
They were running probably into April, weren't they?
Yes, April
15th?
18th, I believe it
18th.
was.
18th, okay.
It was the Friday before David got out here for the Maple Festival, whatever that date was.
Yep.
So I got a box of stubbies from Clayton. He was doing a fire sale. I got like 40,000 stubbies for $200.
40,000.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't even need them.
Us.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Like, so if you're gonna expand, Jeff, I know where you can get some stubbies cheap.
Well, I'm definitely going to expand another woods next year to keep the study kind of going.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of the woods I will go with, but I'm going to use the push-on spouts, the push-on checks. They make
push-on check spouts now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
David's been using them.
Yeah, it's just the replaceable ones. The push-on. Yep.
Now, I'm going to try those because I would rather tap a push-on spout than a stubby spout.
Really?
And I would rather untap a push-on than a stubby.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to watch that last.
Did the new tool work out good?
Video.
Did you like that? Did you like the stubby tool?
I didn't. I used the spout puller.
Did you?
And there's a way you put it on there in a certain way and you pop it off in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried it once and I didn't like it, so I went to Wheeler's and Scott showed me how to use the puller. To get
now they like the Lapierre stubby with the leader check valve adapter, and there's reasons.
That's what I used. That's what I used.
So the stubby there works better with that check spout, I guess. I like the stubby, and I guess if you see what Crocker did is he puts it back through and ties it up and does a fall leak check.
We did it we went around twice, so it's right up flat to the tubing.
Okay.
Made like a figure eight.
So you can do the same thing after you cut it.
It'd be harder because you're not coming into a 90, you're coming into it straight.
I got you.
but you can still tuck it up.
Yeah.
And we ended up our season, say our 10-year average is 7.07 pounds per tap.
Mhm.
And we ended up at 7.05
Wow.
before we sell any syrup. And that's on the average weights per barrel and per tote.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I noticed this with the producers there. The guys have been doing this a while. They take the weight of what's produced in the drum. They don't guess or try to project what it should have been.
Should have been, yeah, no.
Yeah, with the sugar. They actually weigh their syrup and divide it by the taps. They don't.
That's what I do.
Every barrel that comes back has a tag on it from last year and tells you what that weight is. And my 40-gallon drums come in at 38.2 gallons per tap. And my totes come in at 351 gallons, not per tap, per barrel. And the totes actually come in, if you tip them up just a little bit, come in about 351. 351 gallons.
Yep.
Per tote.
I got you. Now, it's actually state law, I think in Vermont, that syrup needs to be 66.9.
Yeah.
It's the only state that actually has this requirement, and it's an advantage as an Ohio guy. If I buy Vermont syrup, it's actually, there is a little bit of a Vermont tax. It is a little bit more valuable because of the branding, but there's also a little advantage to where if you're buying it from Vermont as a packer and selling it outside the state, you can add a little water, like distilled water, to get the syrup to the correct density.
I don't need to add water. I draw it off too late, apparently.
Oh, you do?
I try to push the envelope.
You're legal in Ohio.
I'm legal in Ohio. Yeah.
Gotcha. So in the state law in Ohio, there's some of the interesting state laws, in Ohio, you don't actually need to put a grade on the syrup as long as it's in glass. These are old laws because, maple's been around since before our country. But these old laws, because if it's in glass, you can see it. That's interesting. But here's the truth. If I tried to do that in another state, even though it's legal in Ohio, I can be legal in Ohio and sell it in another state and it's not acceptable in that state. They're supposed to be accepting of it, but that's not necessarily the
What's
case.
the density for Ohio then? If it's not 60?
Actually, I think somebody told me it was 65.9 because it could round up. And I'm like, that you're getting on the end of mold issues. That's the other thing. We pack 66.5 for anything that's not Vermont. So here's the other kicker. I do sell Vermont syrup to companies that require Vermont syrup. I have to pack it at the requirement of the state. I can't put if it says Vermont on the label, I have to pack it to the Vermont standard.
Did you ever get that Vermont tax figured out that you found out about whatever?
Yeah, here's the truth. The state of Vermont, because I'm a packer and allegedly buying more than 1,500 gallons of syrup from the state of Vermont, they actually want me to tell them who I'm buying from. They want me to pay them to tell them. So the state of Vermont said, Nate, I think it starts in June. We've heard from some people that you're buying syrup, and they have two levels. If you're buying 1,500 gallons from Vermont or 2,500 gallons, it's two different prices, and it's not a lot. It's $150 and $200. And the thing I don't like about it's not the price. It's, first of all, I'm regulated in the state of Ohio by the state of Ohio. A Vermont company can't come to Ohio and regulate me. But they said it's to protect the brand. But they also want me to tell them who I'm buying from and how much. Over my dead body. I'm not telling you anything. First of all, it's none of your business. And Jeff, if you were selling syrup to a packer, would you like it if they were telling the government how much they were buying I just don't feel it's my place to tell the state of Vermont who I'm buying from. That's none of their business.
I would agree with that, but does that mean because we get better, our syrup is thicker, that we get paid more per pound?
You should. Do you think? Let me ask you: Do you think that the state of Vermont is going to give a guy from Ohio more grief or a guy from Vermont?
Guy from Ohio.
Right. Like you see out of state plates, if you're a state trooper, you're going to pull over the guy from another state. You're not going to tick off your neighbor. You see him in
But
church.
we're gonna pull over the vehicles that have more money.
Yeah, that's
Cert buyers from Ohio.
yeah. That's funny. So these are some good comments, man.
How was your vacation, Jeff?
It was excellent. It was excellent. We did nothing but one thing we did was watch the siding on the camp and watch the back of our eyelids for a couple of days.
Good.
Yeah.
There's some
Well
farmers after the
deserved.
maple season, they go up to Vermont. Like the season down, like the Emmerichs always impress me. Like maple season's over, they get in a truck and go drive around for like a week. Like who has the energy to do that?
Actually, Clayton today had a boiler maintenance safety seminar at JR's today, and I bet there was 55, 60 people there.
That's
From
awesome.
Wisconsin. Sean was down from Jackman. There was a pile of people there. A lot of interest in steam.
So we were talking about this earlier, and I was speaking probably out of place because I don't know much about it, but like, what are the chances of one of those going kaboom, Jeff? Like on a scale of like
you would have to jump a bunch of safety precautions for one of those to go bang. And they were talking about one today that the guy had trouble firing it up, and they had Harry Atkinson come in and check it out. And they always had to push the red safety button to start it every day. Well, the person that had a boiler for him had troubles, and they put a jumper wire jumping all the safeties on the low water shutoff. And today, the biggest problem is low water. If you don't have water in it, and you got that heat going through those tubes, and then all of a sudden you throw water on it, you got super expansion. And that's when there's a problem. But they are very safe as long as you run through the safety precautions. And for myself, I thank Clayton today personally because he restored my respect for the boiler because it had been slipping away.
Yeah.
But I now have newfound respect, and Linda was there and she made notes, so I will be reminded next spring when we start up, and I will not give her grief for it.
No, it's a big deal, and all it takes is one accident, and then everybody's they're going to come out with some new rule and regulation and inspections. I mean, it's just
you're very correct. You're very correct.
So this is a nice piece of information. I know we're getting a little long in the tooth here on this thing, but I just got pricing for what LB Maple Treat is paying farmers in Ontario. I just have to do does anybody know what the exchange rate is right now? Is it 72 cents on a dollar? It was 72. I haven't checked it lately.
Hang on.
It's got to be in the ballpark.
Yeah. $73. Getting a little stronger.
Yes.
All right, so $3.58 Canadian for golden. This is what LB Maple Treat's paying. So 3.58 times 0.73. So LB Maple Treat is paying Ontario farmers $2.61 for golden, for organic. And let's see what the dark is. It's a little less. See, I like all this information being out there. Why is it a secret?
I would have joined sooner if I'd known you guys were there, but I just got home. We had a big fish and game board meeting tonight on new deer hunting regulations in Vermont. And I
did that no antlerless pass then, or
what's that?
Did the antlerless pass, or
it hasn't passed yet? Today it was a public input meeting. We got another couple months before we vote on it to pass it or shit can it.
So here's a good comment. You can make and sell syrup in New Jersey. There's no regulations. Don't even need a Board of Health license, just a clean work area and label correctly. The states are all different. They really are. I mean, USDA ultimately still regulates this on the federal level, but look at the trouble they're having in Washington. They're not even allowed to bottle syrup in their own sugar house without getting a full licensed kitchen. It's insane.
Michigan's raising theirs to $50,000 a year before you have to get any sort of licensing or anything.
Yeah, and if you talk to a regulator like Dan that was there, regulators, like they got really important things to deal with, like salmonella, peanut butter, shellfish allergies. Like there's actual like lives on the line for a lot of what they're dealing with, and nobody has ever died from maple syrup ever.
No.
The worst that happens is it converts to vinegar and it tastes bad.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's why the regulator.
I don't think syrup can botulize, can it? You can't get botulism in syrup, can you?
No, like it. I mean, there's probably some scientists that will watch this 10 years from now and being like, "Yes, there is. I'm studying it right now." But I don't know.
The syrup would be so bad you wouldn't want to eat it.
Yeah.
It'd stink. Yeah, it'd stink.
It's
So
like what we
yeah,
made at
Vince,
the
I'm
end.
definitely. I think Vince is the guy that was. He has a sugar bush. He's right like outside New York City. I think I was planning to get there this year, but I wanted to get there and help him use an RO for the first time. I got a lot of places I did not get to this year. That's a bummer, but I tried, man. I really did.
Well, the days we were out there with Jeff and Linda, they just flew by. Like it was like a snap. It's like it's over already. Like never enough
it was
time.
fun.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe this, Nate. The day of the open houses, after I took my shower, it was 7. It was like 10 minutes to 7. I came out into the dining room, and David was out sitting in the truck waiting for everybody to get in to go to the open houses. At 10 of 7, and they're only 10 minutes down the road. They don't open until 8 o'clock.
Thanks, Jeff.
He probably didn't even sleep. It's like Christmas for me. I kept telling everybody that the open houses, it's like Christmas Eve.
It is for me too.
I enjoy it. I really do. And it's different there.
We walked into CDL 20 minutes before they were even supposed to be open.
We had to be quarter after 7 when we got there.
We just walked in.
Yeah, we got Kevin Bailey, Jess's husband, saying we did take a 9-day trip to Seattle. It chewed up a good portion of early April. I could have got to more sugar houses, but I think everybody's going to be interested in seeing like what the broadleaf maple looks like. Like,
yeah, that's a wild
it's interesting. Deal. Like I can't wait to get out there again.
That's a big leaf.
It's huge. Yeah, you could almost make clothes out of that.
Yeah, Darrow she's a very interesting person. What she's trying to do out there.
She's a trailblazer. Like I give her credit. Yeah, we'll definitely make it happen, Vince.
I think her biggest struggle is the climate.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. Like Dan has finally convinced me that it's actually the cold you're battling in Vermont. Like they don't want sap to freeze in a lateral and taps behind it backing up, right? Sap should always be able to flow freely to mainline. And they're managing freezes differently. I think Daryl's managing thaws because they get a limited amount of snow. Like it's just a totally different game. Like they're not going to get that much sap. If she had 20 gallons of sap per tap, it'd be a phenomenal year. Like she's getting 12, 15 because they only get snow, 4 or 5 times. So it's warm.
Yeah.
And then they get a snow. And I'm going, how in the world do you keep your tap holes from healing if you get a snow, then you tap, snow melts, and you're not going to see snow again for 2 weeks. Like they start at the end of the maple season. Like it's like, well, we're going to get one more freeze. Like it's like freeze. Hey, we got a tap. We got snow on the ground. I think she waits because there's certain times of the year where you're getting more snow. They're up. They got some elevation because it's awesome. I'm in her sugar bush and I see the Cascades and the Olympic mountain range. Like it looks like, mountains you'd see in Montana. They're snow covered. I mean, and there's the Puget Sound. Like it's cool. I told her when I was there, like you need to do the IMSI. Like you guys need to do it out there. Like we went to this World War I monument that was, or not like fort that was built to protect the west side of our country because the Puget Sound, that big bay that comes into Seattle, they had these like cement concrete forts that they would be able to roll the cannons around. It was like, and they actually trained people there in World War II. It was like, it was cool. Like I had no idea this existed on the West Coast like that, like the historical thing like that. World War I was a while ago.
I didn't realize they made syrup in Washington State.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's totally different.
It'd be a whole different way of producing it you're right, probably starting early, applying vacuum and leave the vacuum on to try to keep
You can't shut it off.
Yeah, no, you won't get shut off.
We don't shut it off here unless it's frozen for 2 or 3 days.
Well, I'm hoping to, after I make the video, to get more information into guys like your brain, Crocker, Wheeler. This is a totally different animal. And I think you guys are like due for a puzzle. Like, how do you make the most amount of syrup? Here's the other thing. Like the base of the tree is 3-4 foot in diameter. And then there's 10 like stalks. It grows like bamboo.
Yeah, like a junk soft maple, right? Where
it is, but there's 10.
Hey now.
Hey, I got them, Dave. I got them. When I was untapping again this year, I'm looking at trees that were tapping and say, man, if I ever want to make the production that Scott's got, I got to take like 1,500 taps off because I got so many trees that are not producing, 3 pounds, so many. But I have so many nice trees too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tap them if I'm going by them because I'm already there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you're still 7 pounds.
Dude, that's just insane.
Yeah, but Dan made more and Scott made more per tap than I did. Why can't I want to make it? But
yeah. Well, I think Dan was a little ahead of you. He was at like 7.5. Scott was at 9.5.
I think he told me.
Wasn't Scott at 9.5 pounds a tap?
I think Dan was at 9.3 and Scott was like at 9.3 or. When you get that high,
Dan was dumping sap on the ground. He was done. No moss. He said no moss.
I was going to put us up more moss, please.
Yeah, no moss. And he was dumping sap on the ground that any Michigan and Ohio farmer would have been boiling. That's the truth.
Yeah, but it wasn't adding up at the end.
That's true. That wouldn't stop us though, Jeff.
The last 2 days of sugar, and I was boiling every morning and every night, but I would shrink it up. Then I threw it in my pan. I started to boil it for 20 minutes to just sterilize it and boil it down. And the last night we boiled, we only had a couple 100 gallons of concentrate. Well, hell, probably only 100 gallons of concentrate, but we made 5 barrels. When the boiler heated up the pan, your temperature goes to like 213, 214, 215, and it stops at 217 for a second. Mine was like 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 221, 224. And I walked by and I looked at, holy crap.
That you're making
pushed my kettle over and I opened all the valves on the front of the pan and just pure syrup poured out of it.
Huh.
And then
another advantage to steam.
Right.
And then when I went to spray the sugar out, there was honeycombs between the tubes. So you can't burn the pan, but you can really overcook the syrup.
Honeycombs. Huh. Did it actually make a shape?
Yeah, it was like
in the bottom of the just a second.
You're not going to the bathroom, are you, Jeff?
Well, I gotta get to where I'm quieter. People are trying to sleep here.
Oh, I got you.
So in the bottom of the pan, where the steam tubes are, there was honeycombs on the bottom row of steam tubes. The syrup was so thick it wouldn't even run out of the automatic draw off. I had to bypass it.
That's what happened.
And then I was dumping like gallons of water in my draw off kettle to get it back to syrup. I'm talking gallons of water, not a cup, gallons. It was so thick. So the whole pan was just, I never seen anything like it. But, I went 2 days without making any syrup. I concentrate the sap, throw it in here, turn the boiler on, shrink it down, turn it on, shrink it down, turn it on, shrink it down. And that's an advantage of steam.
Yeah.
In my last that night, we made 5 barrels of the most beautiful bee syrup you've seen.
Now that late season syrup, one of the advantages of steam is you're not damaging your pans. Like if that was an actual flue pan that you did that,
I would have cooked it.
It would have been twisted up metal. And I think that's one of the things that I was noticing talking to Dan was you can cook later season syrup with steam than you can with a conventional pan.
Oh, definitely,
So
definitely.
if you do go steam, just know you'll be able to make that Bissell Special there at the end, that Mersh. That'll help you buy that. That'll help you convince your wife to get that boiler, that 200 horsepower boiler.
Oh, I made quite a few barrels of that Bissell Special this year.
That's right. Yeah, the Bissell Special. That's what. Who was calling it Bissell Special? Dan Cracker was calling it Bissell Special. I got all the Bissell Special he made.
That's funny.
The steam is just such an easy way to boil. It's just so easy. That's what people don't realize. It's like when you're setting up from scratch, the easeability of it. And when I was considering it, because I asked Glenn Goodrich and he gave me an instant yes, good idea, because he wanted me to be the guinea pig.
That's what I was going to say.
And so we went down to Wheeler's and he was making syrup, and Patty actually made us some waffles, and we put syrup on waffles. And he's in Scott's words, or Jeff, you can teach a monkey to boil on steam. And that's when I decided that's what I want to do. We had through just in time too, because we got.
I hear a lot of comments from people that it's not as flavorful. This is what the conventional evaporator guys will say. You want to feel better about what you got, but
yeah, they're wrong.
Yeah, I've had some. I really like the kettle syrup too. I like what Sean makes the kettles. I think there's a little bit, maybe a half a shade, half a grade more of color and flavor. I was surprised that the flavor he got out of the kettle system.
Well, I can tell you right now, there's one guy that is really brave, Sean.
Going with the kettles?
He went from having a steam rig to kettles without knowing what was going to happen, and no backup way of no way of backing up what was going to happen.
You think he trusts Clayton a little bit?
I think he probably must. He's very intelligent, because he was talking. He had a lot of information today on the steam boilers, and there was Clayton, Harry Atkinson, and Sean knew a lot about them, and that was a very, very good gathering today, and with good content for us to, you got to have a lot of respect for your boiler.
Yeah.
As long as you have the respect for it, you're the safest thing around.
It's just like a weapon, right?
It's just like a rifle, yeah.
Yep.
If you got respect, it's safe.
Yeah.
But if you are the one that has a problem, it's going to be a bad problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be around to find out what happened.
Well, my gathering is they go up more than anything, up and out the ends. And the way ours is faced, we would have to come out the side.
Yeah.
But I don't want a problem. I don't ever want to see what it would look like.
Well, there's a reason you can open that door and inspect it.
Yes, and I never have, but we will check both ends before we fire it up again.
How many seasons do you have on the boiler, Jeff?
6.
Yeah, you might be
1,
due.
2, 3, 4, and 5.
You might be due. Now, these things are designed to run at steel mills 24/7.
24/7, yeah.
Yeah, they're designed, they're workhorses. I think that, use and permeate, every year, the permeate is definitely going to probably find it's going to absorb enough iron that it's going to kind of find its way and like stabilize. But
blow that off every day. If you do it properly, you blow it down every day. And David had a video of that where I did a blow off like at 30 psi. If it was up to 50, it's really impressive. But if you do it every day, you're blowing all that junk out of the boiler.
Right.
Bad stuff is settles to the bottom and blows right out.
There's I'm going to go into my boiler training. So you have deposition, which is actually deposits, and then you actually have where corrosion will actually pit. And there's different chemistries that you can use to. I was trained on it. I took care of some boiler chemistry, but I was never a boiler guy.
I understood. I know how to turn them on.
You can get fired really easily if you don't make sure that the boiler treatment's right. One of the things I'd like to see, at least from my standpoint, is the way you could tell it is you could put something into your boiler called a coupon. And a coupon is a known weight. And you actually put it in the boiler and you can weigh it so you know how much corrosion you're getting or how much deposition. So it's a common thing. So think about a hospital or a school. They all have boilers.
Yep.
So a hospital has a boiler. Like as a chemistry guy that was selling chemicals to hospitals to treat their boilers, we would often measure that coupon because you want to know, hey, do I have too much deposition, chemistry? Do I have too much corrosion? And you would do tests. So I am just now getting my boiler chemistry set up.
Where do you put that? You put it in the boiler?
Yeah, I haven't even set that up yet. We used to have.
Where would you put it?
The old
You
the
have
old
to put it
boilers,
at the beginning and leave it to the end.
the old boilers would have something called like a shot pot. So it was like literally you'd close it off, you'd take the lid off the top because it's like a pressure cooker, and you would drain the solution down or add your chemistry to it, tighten it up, and then you'd open it up again, and you would have to let that cycle. This is bringing back memories. So yeah, cycles are like if you had city water and it was 200 microsiemens and it got up to 400 microsiemens, that was like a cycle. So every time your water chemistry, it's really good to have a conductivity meter on your boiler. That's something that I'm definitely going to do. I have like boiler control, chemistry control systems that are going to help me monitor my pH and chemistry. And I have a lab tech, she's testing every day. So 3 days a week, she's going to be testing boiler chemistry because same thing. You make it, it's a very expensive piece of equipment.
So you just pull a little water out and you do it with that?
Yeah, you actually have sample ports. And one of my pet peeves with anybody in sampling is the sample ports are typically a tube with a valve. And a lot of people will just go and grab a sample, right? They just want to get just enough and then they'll go test it. And when I'm training the tech, I'll make sure she runs it out because if you just get another sample, the numbers are going to be exactly like yesterday's. If you don't let it run out, because
you gotta let a gallon go.
You gotta let it run, or you're not getting good chemistry, and then you're making decisions based on bad data.
Yeah.
So I am a stickler for sample data, but I have bored everybody with this stuff. But and Dave and I are coming on 2 hours here. Jeff, this is our longest SAP chat ever. You made our night.
Well, I was just checking my email stuff, and it's like, oh, they're live. I'll go check them out.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody does. So it was a good night, guys. I am done. So I'll push you. I'll catch you.
Well, have a wonderful evening and buy a lot of syrup.
Absolutely.
See you guys.
Talk to you guys later.